Right then, lads, welcome back to Kossi's Arsenal podcast. My name is Kossi. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. There is a lot to dive into. Mikel Arteta spoke to the media ahead of the FC Zurich game, and he said he was concerned about the injury status in this club, and that is why he has decided to go for the strongest squad he can. But we shouldn't be really concerned. Now, he has also been named as nominated as one of the managers of the month in August in the Premier League. Something that an award that I think is easily going to win, because look, five wins in 5 games. If you don't win that award, then you will actually never you will actually never win it. But also, we'll talk about Thomas Partey's update. Now, yesterday I said he's very close to coming back and joining the squad. This week, we do expect him to be back for full training after the FC Zurich game. And also, there is an outside chance that Thomas Partey will be part of the squad at the Emirates Stadium as we host Everton. There is a slight outside chance. Lots to dive into. Like I said, hit the like button. Let's get this video to 800 likes. Subscribe to the podcast as well. We're very close to 60,000 subscribers. And your comments in the the comment section below. Do you think Arsenal will easily beat FC Zurich? But Mikel has been speaking about this game, and I want us to dive into his thoughts and opinions. First and foremost, he was asked about bringing in a very strong squad, and if that is an indication whether he wants to win the Europa League. And he says, we don't have many players available at the moment, unfortunately, with the injuries we picked up in the last 2 weeks. This is a competition, though, we want to take very, very seriously against an opponent that is going to make life difficult for us. We want to start the competition with the right way and maintain our momentum. Now, for me, I've already said, guys, if there is any kind of silverware, if there is any chance for us to win silverware this season, it is going to be the UEFA Europa League. There is Man United, and they've already beaten us 3-1 at the Old Trafford in the Premier League. But in my opinion, if you go until the final and you play Manchester United, we will beat them. This is my opinion. I think, however much they will have improved under Erik ten Hag, they will not be at the levels Arsenal will be at by the end of the season. My only concern is about how do we handle ourselves in January. Will we get the signings we want? Will we improve our squad in January, just like we have to do? The moment we do that, we're gonna be a very much better side. So Mikel says here he doesn't have so many players. That's why he's gone with a very, very strong squad. If you've not seen the squad, almost every player that is available to play for us in the Premier League has traveled with the squad. The only players that have not traveled are Cedric Suarez, Emil Smith-Rowe, Thomas Partey, and Mohamed Elneny, plus Reece Nelson. Those ones have not traveled with the squad, courtesy of injuries. So that is him on going out with a strong squad. And then it's also on Arsenal not having won European competition for 30 years. He says it's a very, very long time, and I would like to be the one I would like to be the first manager to break that negative record. You have to start somewhere. That's tomorrow. We need to start well and earn the right to win the match. Now, I've talked about Zurich in my preview, and if you still remember, I said Zurich is not a scary side. They're not a very, very scary opponent. They have not won a single game in the last 10 in the Swiss Super League, and that is exactly where you capitalize on. I mean, you just need to go back and rewatch. Why have they been losing so many games? How do they play? How are other clubs exposing them? And that's where I felt like Mikel Arteta was a little bit outclassed by Erik ten Hag. Because with ten Hag, look, it was all about going out and understanding how to beat Mikel Arteta. And I thought with Mikel Arteta, it was not about how to beat Erik ten Hag, but it was all about how do you make yourself a little bit unpredictable, and we were not unpredictable in that game. So for me, Zurich is not it's not a difficult opponent. Yeah, Mikel is right. You have to give them the respect they deserve. But at the end of the day, a comfortable win for Arsenal will not be a surprise to me. Now, next point on if we are seeing the benefits of managing Gabriel Martinelli's minutes in the past, and he has said I don't know. We just try to make a decision based on what we see, where the players are, and the space they have in the team. When we believe they are ready to step in and give their performances and expose them where it's fair for the players, and to demand certain things that you are exposed to at this club. Now you see a player with tremendous talent who is performing consistently at a very high level. He needs to keep doing that and keep on improving. Look, I think the physio at Arsenal have done very well when it comes to managing the injuries that Gabriel Martinelli was actually picking up. I think he's one of those few talents that I've always talked about in a very negative light when it comes to injuries, and a very positive light when it comes to prospect and the future. I've looked at a couple of Brazilian players play, including Vinicius Jr., that I love so much. And in my opinion, Vinicius Jr., Rafinha, Anthony, Richarlison, and Gabriel Martinelli are almost in the same bracket. The difference would be that Vinicius Jr. is a very important player at Real Madrid. Richarlison is not important at Tottenham Hotspur. Anthony will be important at Man United, and Martinelli is important at Arsenal. But when you think about all these players and the context they are in, and the talent they possess, Martinelli in that category for me comes second behind Vinicius Jr. Because what I love about Vinicius is so clinical. He acts very mature. I think his decisions are way above his age. If Martinelli can start doing that, getting a lot of output, a lot of goals, a lot of assists, become a very reliable player for us now, he's going to be a magnificent talent. Very magnificent. I think he doesn't have big flair, just like Anthony, but I don't think the Premier League and the world is going to ask for the best flair. It's all about scoring the goals. It's all about naming yourself as a top assister. If you can do that, then that is all that is all football is going to ask you for. So the physio for me have done very well with Gabriel Martinelli and managing the injuries. So Mikel as well, I think, is really improved him very much. There's so many people who said Mikel Arteta is actually spoiling and killing the career of Gabriel Martinelli, Curtis Shaw being one of them. I think they're just sick. For me, there is a huge improvement with Gabriel Martinelli. And forget about not loving the manager, because many people don't love the manager. I don't think I'm 100% in love with Mikel Arteta, but I'm so convinced about what he's trying to do and how he's handling these young talents. He was asked about Thomas Tuchel's situation as well, and he was asked whether he was surprised that Thomas Tuchel was sacked, and he said, I was surprised. It was right before the training session when we got the news. It's always sad for any colleague in the profession to get fired. Unfortunately, we know how this works. I wish him the best of luck. It is not pleasant to hear such kind of news. Now, look, I think this is so sympathetic from Mikel Arteta. You know what I'm gonna say here, lads, is give us Chelsea now. Can we play Chelsea now? Of course, by the time we play Chelsea, I think they will have entered the full grasp of Graham Potter. That is gonna be around what, a month or two before we play Chelsea. But I wasn't very, very surprised that Thomas Tuchel was sacked. I wasn't so shocked because the results were actually not going in his way. But again, I was very, very surprised. I hope you understand what I'm talking about, because one of the top managers in the game, one of the best managers in the world. You might not call him a world beater, but again, you don't compare him to the likes of Mikel. It's so surprising that Mikel Arteta has actually kept himself in the job. I don't know if he's kept himself in the job, or the Kroenkes have actually kept him in the job. And then Thomas Tuchel has been thrown under the bus. It's so interesting how life can be very fair and unfair, and very, very soft and hard on the other end. And Mikel was asked whether the sacking of Thomas Tuchel makes him appreciate the stability he has had in the Arsenal job. I think the question is not about stability. The question is about luck. Does he appreciate how lucky he has been with these Kroenkes, just keeping him under the job and trying to back him, trying to, protect him all the time. And he said, what it makes me realize is what I always told you, that we have a profession that at some stage this can happen. We have to prevent it, enjoy the journey, and enjoy every day, because you never know when that is coming. I think with Mikel, he knows that if as long as he can keep Arsenal in and around the top 5, his job is secure. The Cronkies are not stupid. They know they have not invested enough yet, just as Manchester City and Chelsea, and they know the squad that they're building is not as old as Liverpool's, and therefore it is absolutely fine for Spurs, Chelsea, Liverpool, and Manchester City to finish above Arsenal. And probably in the next 2 years, United will outspend Arsenal. So if Mikel Arteta can keep Arsenal in and around Europa League stage, in the Europa League qualification zone, and probably take us to quarterfinals of the Europa League, semi-finals of the FA Cup, he's absolutely going to be in the job. I don't see him getting sacked. And I see him as the manager that will nick a few trophies. Probably the Europa League. I think he can win that one. He was very close to winning it in his first season. I'm so happy that he didn't, because the Cronkies would have said, you've won the Europa League with this kind of squad. You don't need many players to get up to go. But the fact that we've won nothing in Europe in 30 years, and we've won nothing, when it comes to the Premier League in the last, 2 decades, it just makes them realize, okay, we need to act. We need something to be done. So Mikel thinks here that the more he thinks about Thomas Tuchel, the more he thinks about how lucky he is, and I agree with him. You're so lucky, so lucky. There's so many managers that have been sacked, and when I'm sitting here on my table, I'm like, I look at my producer and I'm like, if Scott Parker's been sacked by Bournemouth, a manager that has actually brought them up, a manager that has done everything for them, how is Mikel Arteta still in the job? And then Thomas Tuchel is sacked. It's a bit of a surprise. He's a UEFA Champions League winner. He's a Super Cup winner. He's a Club World Cup winner. That is what we're talking about here. We're talking about a man who's won everything you could win for Chelsea on Europe. And he was sacked because I don't know. I don't know why he was even sacked. So, of course, he spoke about the injury situation as well. On Emile Smith-Rowe, he said he felt a discomfort in an area that he's been dealing with now for a few weeks. He hasn't been comfortable after the game, and he hasn't trained in the last few days, so he's out of the squad. Now, I'm not really sure what is wrong with Emile Smith-Rowe. The team doctor did say that he had a slight discomfort as well, just like as Mikel Arteta. But the problem looks like it's a little bit serious and should be looked at more than we are actually considering it. Now, this is not me trying to say that Mikel or the club are trying to hide something. I'm trying to say that the truth about Emile Smith-Rowe is he's having a bigger injury, and there could be a slight injury crisis at Arsenal Football Club at the moment. Not 100% trying to exaggerate this, but again, I'm not want to cover the loopholes of the club. So let's wait and see when Emile Smith-Rowe will be back in contention. On Xhaka's new role and his evolution in the team, he said he has a different role this year. He's in more advanced areas, and I think he's playing really, really well. He's been really consistent this season, and he's really, really an important player for us. Look, I've talked about this all the time. Xhaka's new role, how he's doing well. But if you have a Fabio Vieira, fuck off with Xhaka. I'm telling you, it's about having meat, and I don't know what is worse than meat. But the moment you have meat on your plate, you don't wish to have anything less than meat. And for me, Xhaka is a player who's really done well. Is a meal that is so good when you don't have the fancy. But I think we have the fancy. We have Fabio Vieira. We have a player in there that we are yet to unlock. And Mikel knows that. And the fact that he's trying to keep Vieira, in prison just to justify the fact that Xhaka is doing really well. He knows if Vieira starts with Odegaard in a 4-3-3, Xhaka will never come back near this squad unless he's coming back as a defensive midfielder. That is the only way he can bring him back into the squad. But look, overall, Xhaka has not been doing that poorly. On Tierney and how he's reacted not to playing when Zinchenko is fit. He says, well, first of all, Kieran Tierney went through a period of 3 or 4 months with injury. He's come back. He is in a good place, and we want, and what we want is to have a competitive, is to have competition in every position. His position is not very different. Now, I don't understand why Kieran Tierney has come back from injury and has not done very well as I expected. But I'm gonna say this. He's not the player I knew. He's so worried. He's so horrendous. He's so horrible. He's actually dropped off the cliff. His performances are not anywhere good enough. And I've said this. I've said this in my match reactions. I would start him in the FC Zurich game, but that is not because he is justified to be there. It is only because of squad rotation. I'm not really happy with him, but I think he will come back. I think he will come around. He's a quality player. We know that. On how he convinced Xhaka to stay 3 years ago, he says, and he said, I gave him my opinion about the situation, and I tried to explain the reasoning around why I thought leaving in that moment wasn't the best idea. Knowing his character and how he is, I thought he was going to regret it. After that, day by day, he has earned the respect of everyone at the club, of all our supporters, and he's been really, really playing well for us. I've already said that. I think I've mentioned 2 names, and on my channel, personal channel, Kosi Talks Football, I will be talking about my most improved players under every manager at a in the Premier League. I think Xhaka is the most improved player at Arsenal under Mikel Arteta. There's a few names you can't mention, but thinking about the fact that everyone has actually left the club under the Unai Emery era and under the Arsene Wenger era, Xhaka has stayed around. And no, look, I think no one even notices that now. Of course, Mo Elneny has also stayed around, but the difference here is Elneny, Edin Ketia, and the likes of Reece Nelson have not improved as Martinelli and Xhaka. And for me, the player that has improved more is Xhaka. Because it's not about his performances on the pitch only, but also it's about picking up a new role, playing with a smile back on his face, believing in himself, loving the fans again, being loved by the fans again. He's really done well. He's really, really done a fantastic job on Granit Xhaka Mikel, and I would give him a lot of credit on that. On Fabio Vieira, and if it's helped him to be out of the spotlight at the start of the season, he said, we were looking for players that could play in 3 positions in the front line and in the attacking midfield positions as well. We were looking for very specific qualities in the market, and when I saw him, I really liked what I saw. Straight away, I was convinced that he was a player who can help us go to the next level and that he had the right personality and character to play for our club. We've not seen much about Fabio Vieira. We know he's very versatile. We know he's a complete midfielder. So let's wait and see how much he can improve this Arsenal side. On how much he rates FC Zurich and what might be the biggest danger for us. He said the biggest danger is that after the season they had last year, they haven't got the results that they expected. You can see how willing they are to win football matches. This is a different competition. It's a different context, and I expect a team that is going to be very, very ready tomorrow. I like the answering of questions, but that is not the preparation that we should have. The preparation Arsenal should have is we are playing a weak Zurich side, and we want to dismantle them, and we want to destroy them. There is no better comeback than losing 3-1 at home, that is in the Premier League, and then you fly away in a European competition and win 7-0. Now, I'm not saying Arsenal will win 7-0. I want us to win 7-0. But if you win 7-0 or 8-0, it just washes away the memories of the defeat. In my opinion, if Arsenal win 5-0 against Zurich, and then we go at the Emirates Stadium and beat Everton 3-0 or 4-0, no one cares about the Manchester United result. It's gone, it's buried, it's forgotten. The only problem will be failing to bounce back. And for me, Zurich is not a game where you fail to bounce back. Yes, it is early kickoff. It is away from home. It is 50 miles away from where we were supposed to play the game. There are no excuses on this one. No excuses whatsoever. On Banledo's comments after leaving the club, now Banledo came out and said that he lost his starting place at Arsenal because of politics, not because it was actually horrendous. I want to make this very clear to Banledo wherever he is at Fulham. He's a top goalkeeper, but he's not a world-class goalkeeper. And he was not replaced by a world-class goalkeeper. But the moment, Leno, I think one thing Leno should understand here is his position at the club didn't come under threat when Aaron Ramsdale came into the side. His position at the club came under threat when Arsenal tested the brilliance of Emi Martinez. He must remember that many Arsenal fans wanted him out the moment Emi Martinez stepped into our goal. That is when many Arsenal fans wanted him out. And when he says that he lost his starting 11 due to politics, it's not true. It's absolutely not true. Because how many goals did he concede at the beginning of last season in the first three games? 2-0 against Chelsea. Was it 3-0 against Brentford? And then a 5-0 defeat against Manchester City. That was around 10 goals in 3 games. And when Aaron Ramsdale came in, Arsenal stopped losing games. Arsenal stopped conceding silly goals. I think the silly goals are back. Ramsdale should watch out for that. But apart from that, I think Leno didn't lose his position due to politics. He lost his position because he felt comfortable. And when you feel comfortable, and there is someone who is serious about, your starting position, your position, and they want to be in the starting 11. And let's be honest, ever since Ramsdale started for Arsenal, yes, he's put a few feet wrong. He's actually had a few poor performances, but you can't throw him out of the starting lineup because I don't think he's been horrendous. He's not been horrible. There was a time when Leno was absolutely horrible, and this is what professional players, especially do forget. You want to start every game. You want to be in goal every game, but you do not want to offer 100% to the team. I've seen Leno concede goals that Ramsdale cannot concede. And that is the reason as why Ramsdale starts for Arsenal and we're on top of the table, and Leno starts for Fulham now. I don't really want to mock him, but I think there is a big misconception when it comes to him thinking he was dropped because of politics. On if there is a plan to give Bukayo Saka protection in terms of minutes ahead of the World Cup, he says, we will try. If the squad and performances allow us, we'll try our best to manage his load and get him on the field in the best possible condition. After November, we have something that we have never experienced before. This is about the January transfer market, really. If we can get ourselves a good January transfer market, if we can get ourselves a decent market, decent business in the market, then Saka will get some time to rest. But if we don't, I don't see how Arsenal will help Bukayo Saka to actually manage his minutes. But the likes of Inaki Williams have actually showed us that it's not all about playing as few games as you can, because that guy Inaki Williams has played 6 straight seasons without even picking up an injury. Now, we don't know if the injury is actually picked up is going to be keeping him out for long. But if it doesn't, right? If it doesn't, then Saka can play a third straight season, honestly. Now, the other, team news is that Thomas Partey, not Xhaka, but Thomas Partey, is allowed to train this week. He will be back in training. We do not know if it's going to be full training, but he will be back in training. And there is an outside chance that he will be part of the squad that travels to Everton. Without Thomas Partey, I think we can beat Everton. They do have Idrissa Gana Gueye and Amadou Onana. They are going to be a well-rested side, a side that has started believing in what Frank Lampard is trying to do. So not an easy game, but they're coming at the Emirates Stadium, and that should be another 3 points for me. It should be another 3 points. A few squad rotations in the for the Zurich game should see Arsenal winning that one comfortably, and then bring back the usual starting 11 against Everton, outplay them, outdominate them, create the chances. They will not have Pickford, so they will be without their best goalkeeper over the weekend. That has been confirmed by David Ornstein. So I think that should be another one for us to win. We'll talk again as we enter the final minutes of kickoff. We'll be reacting to the starting 11 and your predictions as well. We'll be doing a match reaction live. I will be live for the match reaction and much more. The player ratings, 6 things we learned, and my reaction. I'll see you soon.